That email. That's it. Okay. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission to order. Customers wishing to address the commission for items that are not on the agenda, please fill out the request to speak form located in the back counter. For items that are not on the agenda, please fill out the request to speak form and give it to the administrative assistant in attendance at the meeting prior to speaking. Customers wishing to address the commission on a specific agenda item other than the rate hearing will be given an opportunity during the discussion of that item. Each customer will be given 3 minutes to address the commission. We're here to listen. Any follow-up or feedback will be done by email on anything that cannot be resolved this evening. We have a quorum this evening. Heidi Durand will be joining us remotely. She'll be participating via interactive television from her address at 3625 22nd Avenue South, Moorhead, Minnesota 56560, which location is open and accessible to the public during the meeting. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda. We have a motion by Daly, seconded by Paulson, to approve the meeting agenda. Paulson, how do you vote? Durand, not on. McDougall?
Aye.
Daly?
Aye.
Thompson, aye. The agenda's been approved. Move to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Paulson, seconded by McDougall to approve the consent agenda. Paulson?
Aye.
McDougall?
Aye.
Daly?
Aye.
Thompson? Aye. Durand? Not on. Okay. The consent agenda has been approved. Customers to be heard or recognitions? Mr. Schmidt?
None at this time. We'll talk about 2 other items in the GM report.
Old business, anybody? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to report, City Council, Mr. Hendrickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few items here, and I might steal some of Travis's thunder. I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but I'll bring it up. Truth in Taxation, just want to make aware that public that will be held on December 13th, and we also look to pass the final budget that night also during our council meeting. And at its meeting on August 4th, the Charter Commission came to consensus and voted unanimously to move forward with the manner that is reflected by the attached ordinance, which was to add a position from the City Council to the MPS Board, increasing the membership from 5 members to 6 persons, with the new position to be filled with a current member of the City Council. With the term of that current council member, when the term of that current council member expires or the office is vacant, the term is deemed to have terminated and the City Council shall appoint another current council member to the seat on the commission. The ordinance would limit the membership to 1 current council member. The Charter Commission discussed that this change would create a situation where there would be a tie vote. However, the Charter Commission felt that this would encourage a greater level of consensus since 4 votes were required to move forward on the action item. And at our October 25th council, which needed I believe, 9 votes with the mayor, the ordinance was unanimously approved. So, so you'll be getting another board member.
Great.
And one more thing here. At our last council meeting too, we awarded former mayor and Clay County Commissioner member Wayne Ingersoll the Moorhead Award, which was deserving because he served more in many different capacities and totally deserving in it. So congratulations, Wayne. Just wanted to bring that up again because he's done a ton for Moorhead. That's all I have.
Thank you. Public Service Commission, any meetings? That leaves the General Manager's report. Mr. Schmidt, what do you have to tell us?
Sure. I'll several items tonight on the GM report. We have our third quarter strategic plan update that goes over the current 5 strategic plan items or tasks that we have, and in there's our quarterly updates from each of those areas. Again, the commission approved our new strategic plan recently, and we'll start updating you guys on those in 2022 with the 6 strategic plan or strategic direction items that we've got for that. Again, there's also quarterly dashboards. This is kind of that KPI thing we were talking about as part of the strategic plan. We've been doing this for a while now. Again, it would be something we would continue on with the new strategic plan as well in 2022. It just gives you an overview of what happened in the last quarter, electric and water operations, purchase power, dual fuel customers, and our renewable production as well. Along with that, they've got energy services and some GIS updates as well. Again, then our water division, how the plant operated and what our chemical costs and water usage was. Again, we were in a drought condition, so it was some good information there as well. Any leaks, and then of course Marc has all of our financial quarterly updates as well too. Along with that, the safety committee provides a dashboard as well for that, for you to review. Going on from there, I'm going to have, actually GIS Day is actually tomorrow, just so everybody's aware of that. Again, we have been going down the path of having GIS, Geographic Information Systems. This is probably 10 years now since we started that process. So have a 10-year anniversary on that. From there, I'm going to have Marc Pritchard come up. He'll talk a little bit about our easing of mandatory water restrictions. Marc?
Thank you, Travis. Marc Pritchard, Water Plant Supervisor. I have some good news this evening. On November the 10th, the Water Division staff received a letter from the Department of Natural Resources stating that the Red River watershed has received enough recent precipitation to move the entirety of the watershed back 2 full stages back to the drought watch phase in the state of Minnesota drought preparedness plan. That's a significant reduction in severity of sorts as far as our restrictions goes. For a little bit of context, earlier this summer, we did end up going into the drought restrictive phase, which mandated that certain efforts be made at the municipal level and for each city within a watershed to curtail their water use to January plus 25% levels. I'm happy to report that due to concerted effort by all of our customers through the month of October, especially, we were able to see January plus 6% flow rate. So we had a lot of really good We had a lot of participation from our customers, and we were able to see very high reductions in our overall flow rates. So thank you to all the customers who participated in that with us. Again, during years like this, it's very important to make sure that we talk about conservation efforts, and they are still needed. With that in mind, MPS staff is intending to implement voluntary restrictions on an ongoing basis. However, we won't have any mandatory restrictions at this time. So to previous discussion that we had at commission meetings here in the past month or so, we won't have any restrictions on outdoor use for things such as hockey arenas and things of that nature. It'll be on a voluntary basis because we have been seeing very consistently low flow rates. So that was some good news there. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you, Mark.
Just hang out up there for a minute. Okay. Item 5 on our general manager's report, Moorhead Public Service on October 26th. We received the Smart Energy Provider designation for the second time. This is a December 1st, 2021 through November 30th, 2023 designation. Moorhead Public Service was one of 90 utilities in the APPA membership that received that designation. So a kudos to staff that took the time to put everything together to get that application in. It's a great honor to have that designation, as well as and I know we are working right now on our reliable public power provider designation as well too. So hopefully we'll receive that one as well. And finally, I know at the last meeting we talked, we thought we actually took third on the tank of the year, and we actually got first. So Mark, I'll let you speak to that one.
Thank you, Travis. As Travis had mentioned, the third place rendering that we thought we had received, that was for the People's Choice Awards based on popular vote. Each year, Tanemic has a competition called Tank of the Year, in which they award 2 different towers, sometimes the same one if it's popular enough. A People's Choice Award based on popular vote, and then a Tank of the Year designation that Tanemic itself actually picks based off of a couple different types of criteria that they have. One of the things that was pretty cool about this tower is it did have a lot of community involvement and collaboration with the city of Moorhead. The artwork itself is a 360-degree wrap around the entirety of the Southside Water Tower, and it was designed by local artists Stephen Dorsey and Jack Lundy and coordinated by Carrie Kinslow. We did also put together an art design committee similar to previous water tower projects, of which members consisted of MPS Commission, City Council members, MPS staff, and City of Moorhead staff, as well as community representatives. One of the differences between our most recent tower and this one in the design phase was we were pre-COVID time, so we did meet in person to get a lot of really constructive feedback to get this final design. So thank you to everyone who participated there. On Friday, October the 22nd, MPS was notified that out of approximately 300 total nationwide nominations, Tanemic chose our very own Moorhead Water Tower as Tank of the Year. So it will be prominently displayed on their 2022 calendar along with the 11 runners-up, and we're very excited to see that.
You have a video queued up for about 40 seconds of the tower itself. So.
Is that the paint company that gives us, who gives us the award?
Tanemic Company, yes, a good question. They are the tank paint manufacturer. What they've done since the early 2000s is they've had this Tank of the Year competition, which started more as a regional award based on my understanding, and then it very quickly became a national competition of sorts, where they very quickly started doing a popular vote, which I believe Rochester, Minnesota won the People's Choice Award with their corn cob design. That's easy to see on their front page of their website as well, next to the Moorhead Tower. So they had a lot of really cool designs this year.
We will have the I-94 water tower in the competition for next year as well. So perfect. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks.
Is that video available anywhere?
It is. We actually called Tanemic representatives, and they did send us a copy, and they gave us permission to use at our discretion. So yes, we do have it available if we want to use it in other places as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Very proud of the whole work from start to finish.
Madam Chair, if I may, thank you. Thanks, Mark. This is great news, and that's a wonderful water tower. It's one of my favorites. I have one comment, I guess. I received a couple comments from citizens of Moorhead are wondering why it's not lit up at night.
Good question. The main reason is due to cost. The lighting on composite style towers has the potential to get very expensive very quickly. I think many people think of a composite style tower and they think, for example, of the St. Cloud Water Tower right along the interstate. They put a lot of work and a lot of effort into making the lights on that tower able to project different colors based off different times of the year or different celebrations for sporting events or things of that nature. We wanted to keep everything really efficient cost-wise, so we opted to have a pretty basic street light out front and making sure that it holds water like we need to.
Well, and I would be interested, just because it's such a cool tower, I would be interested in seeing some costs on lighting and maybe having the commission consider lighting that tower up, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. We can make a few phone calls and inquire about different methods on which to light them up, and if we want to have the ability to have different colors, for instance, that are programmable, we can look at all those options.
Great, thank you.
The only thing that wasn't on the item, I'm going to have Marc Moilanen come up. Typically, he does a COVID financial update, and things have been going pretty well. And I'll let Marc kind of speak to our current status on that.
Thank you, Travis. Marc Moilanen, Controller. As Travis indicated, things have been going really well with the collections process. We still have about 290 PPA payment plan agreement loans outstanding and that are still active and being maintained by the customers. That's from the start of about 550. In addition, last Wednesday, I sat in on a fall energy vendor meeting that was hosted by the Minnesota Department of Commerce, and they announced that they are receiving some additional funding for this year's LIHEAP program, and they are encouraging as many people as possible to consider applying. They've raised the income level so that a household making approximately $68,000, a household of 4, would still qualify for heating assistance. So that's pretty significant. And this year they'll have $236 million to allocate, where normally they were allocated about $130 million. So significantly more funds available through the LIHEAP program. And it's going to be available to more people, so they're very excited about that. In addition, the cold weather rule coverage period started on October 1 and will extend through April 30th. This is a change from previous years where it went from October 15 through April 15. What that does is it does allow a customer to enter into a payment plan agreement to take care of their past due payment plan or past due electric bills, and allows an additional 20 days. And then as part of that agreement, they just have to maintain adequate payment of their electric portion of their bill for the rest of the season. And then once it gets to May, then they would be responsible for covering all of their bill. So that's some updates I have, some positive news. We've also been receiving quite a few payments from the Rent Help Minnesota program. So again, if you do have some applications out there, just be patient. It has taken a while to get going, but we've seen a significant increase in the number of payments received by Moorhead Public Service over the last month. So that program is now working well. They also extended the coverage from 15 months worth of past due electric bills or utility bills up to 18 months of utility bills. So again, there's still sufficient funding out there for the renters that are eligible for the program. And with that, I'll just entertain questions.
Marc? Marc, for all the work that you do.
All right, well, thank you.
All I have.
All you have? Okay, the report on lead service line inventory.
Got
project.
to accept the report first. Did we not do that anymore?
Well, we have to find out, is it lead or lead? What are we approving here?
I think you got to accept the general manager's report.
Oh, okay. Make motion to accept the general manager report?
So moved.
Oh,
Okay, it's a coin toss. Motion-
Sebastian can have it.
Motion by McDougal, seconded by Daley, to accept the general manager's report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Now the lead.
Lead. This is some stuff that's coming down the pipeline from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Minnesota Department of Health. I'm going to have Jake Long come up and talk about this lead service inventory project, lead service line inventory project, and talk about our next steps forward and you know, answer any questions you may have on that as well, too.
Thank you, Travis. Jake Long, Water Distribution Supervisor. Yeah, the purpose of this report is kind of to answer three main questions: what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing this lead service line inventory project. So as part of Moorhead Public Services' commitment to provide safe drinking water to all customers, we consistently comply with all regulations of the U.S. EPA Safe Drinking Water Act. The U.S. EPA and the Minnesota Department of Health regulate lead in drinking water through the Lead and Copper Rule, which was first published in 1991. The current Lead and Copper Rule requires community water systems to monitor drinking water at customers' taps in their home. This regulation has undergone numerous revisions since 1991. Due to recent revisions to the Lead and Copper Rule of this regulation, one revision will require all community water systems to create a mapped inventory of each water service line material throughout the city of Moorhead. Currently, the EPA is in the process of reviewing this revision to the Lead and Copper Rule, and it's not final yet, but it is stated to be effective at the end of December 12/31/2021, with a compliance date of all the rules if they get passed by October 16th, 2024. While the new Lead and Copper Rule is still under revision, the new focus has stated to have three main objectives, and that's to get the lead out, empower and inform communities, and protect children. The one top priority that is most certain to go into effect is beneficial to everyone involved is the inventory of all the service lines. Some other possible rule revisions include using more science-based testing protocols to find more sources of lead, establish a trigger level of 10 parts per billion to address lead service line replacements. Right now it's at 15 parts per billion. To add more and complete lead service line replacements. Sometimes they're half replacements, sometimes they're full. The idea is to get it all out and for it to be full replacement. Requiring more increased testing in schools and child care facilities, and then some more corrosion control options for community water systems. To prepare for this revision, MPS has engaged with Minnesota Department of Health staff to confirm MPS's approach to appropriately prepare for this new lead and copper rule. So MPS staff has created the lead service line inventory project, and the project is created to accurately determine the total number of lead service lines in our system. The main objectives of this project is to identify and document all the service line materials, both public and private, inform customers of their service material, and then also providing information on reducing lead exposure in drinking water. And the last one is the ability to accurately plan and on budget and strategize options for lead service line replacement project and other water main replacement projects. So the more information we know, we can use it into our WAMP to try to get some of these lead service lines out as well. Kind of going into how we're going to begin this project, we've utilized GIS to document all available information. MPS staff has put a lot of work into reviewing old past record drawings, water main and service car drawings. We've reviewed old plans and specs from past construction projects, and we've also went back and utilized past MPS rules and regs, kind of when our rules and regs prohibited lead lines and things like that. The next thing, and this is important to know, this is just the first step in this project to prepare for the lead and copper rule. And it's to inform customers and then determine future strategies on how to prepare for a big project like this. We really need to know how many we got, where they're at, to come up with some sort of project and funding. So I want to mention again, the lead and copper rule revision is not final. It's still under review, but it's important to get this portion of the project started. MPS staff has also been we've also been in contact with Minnesota Department of Health staff, and they're currently investigating funding resources for lead service line replacements. And we'll continue to stay up to date on all those funding opportunities as they come available, whether it's through the DWARF funding or the new infrastructure bill. All that's still up in the air, and MDH is working hard to get answers back to us, but there really is no clear answer yet. So with that, in closing, MPS staff is looking forward to beginning this project. We've put a lot of work into it, and it's a great project that's beneficial both for our customers as well as Moorhead Public Service. And it's important for customers to know their service line material, especially if they do have a lead service line, or the other thing is household plumbing can also have lead solder. And we want to give them the resources and information on tips how to reduce their exposure in lead in drinking water. And again, if customers have any questions or concerns with lead in drinking water, I recommend they visit our MPS website or the Minnesota Department of Health website, and there are many resources available on that. So at this time, I'll open it up for any questions.
Yeah, I have a question, Madam Chair, if I can.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thanks, Jake. I had a quick question, and I don't know, this is totally putting you on the spot. So if you don't have an answer, I completely understand. Do we think there will be, if we're moving from 15 parts per billion down to 10 parts per billion, do we have an idea of whether or not that will drastically impact the number of households in Moorhead that might have to have their pipes replaced?
I'll give my best answer. I think, it's going to have an impact, and there's also the revisions to the rule on how you get those how you receive the water out of the tap. So there is a chance for that it could increase more, a higher rate, which would then increase the replacement rate that the utility would need to replace each line each year. So I don't know if that answers your question exactly, but
yeah, no, I was wondering if there's a huge drop or a huge increase between 10 and 15. In some instances it might not be a big, a real drastic increase in impact. In other instances it could be huge impacts. So I was just curious as to where we fell in there. My second question is, if a household has pipes running from the main line into their home, are they responsible for that replacement, or is MPS responsible for that replacement?
Yeah, so the way our rules and regulations we're set up as MPS, the utility owns up from the water main connection to the curb stop, which is usually in the boulevard or up to the sidewalk, the property line. And then homeowners are responsible from the curb stop, shut off valve out in the boulevard to their home. So that's the way our rules and regs are written right now.
Okay, and is there, if somebody needs that from curbside to their home replaced, do we have any idea what cost that could be? And I know I'm sure it depends on how far the house is set back. And are there funds available will there be funds available for residents who can't afford to make that replacement, who are impacted by these new changes?
Yeah, good question. So the last time we talked with the Minnesota Department of Health, there is grant money available that will currently, with the dwarf funding, that will cover about 50% of the privately owned line. And I think, from my understanding, it needs to be run through more public service, so we need to look into a little bit more on how that would work, because that's associated with the dwarf funding, I believe. We're still looking into that a little bit. And as far as cost goes, you know, it's hard to give an exact number with, depending on what they need to do in the basement, how long the service line is, if they gotta, you know, if it's a further line, but I would say plus minus 5,000 would be just an estimate.
I'm sorry, I keep coming up with questions as we're talking. If a family could not afford for that replacement, there are other alternatives to remove lead from drinking water, isn't there? I hope.
Yeah, yep, there is, and there's a lot of tips on what you can do to reduce your exposure, whether it's running your water for 30 minutes, or not 30 minutes, excuse me, 30 seconds or a couple minutes till it gets cold. Because the biggest thing is when the water sits in there for a long period of time, that's your increased chance of lead exposure, is when corrosion sits in there. So, you know, we also, more at public service, we add a polyphosphate into the water, which basically builds a barrier to the lead line, and that is another option that we can do, or that we do currently do. And there's also filters available certified filters available that will, you know, reduce lead as well. So there's options out there, and that's the biggest thing, that part of this project is to inform customers and give them the resources available so that they can look into, because it's not just lead service lines, it can be in-house premise plumbing as well, when they used lead solder and different fittings back, you know,
Okay.
before they had regulations on that.
Great. Thanks for those answers. That was very helpful.
Yep.
Good work.
I have a quick question. Jake, does this replacement of the pipes primarily affect older residential and business areas, or is it throughout the city? Because I would assume the newer developments have stayed away from the lead pipes. Are we looking at the older areas, say 1960 or earlier developed areas?
Yeah, so we're all new developments, you know, we're good on those areas. We're really looking into 1955 and earlier than that. That's kind of our areas that we're really focused on right away. And that's where we could use past record drawings, past plans and specs, and past MPS rules and regs where it said, you know, no lead lines can be allowed and things like that. So it's all 1955 and earlier is what we're going to focus this project on.
Okay, I appreciate that. I had the opportunity to take a look at some water quality reports from around the country, and I think that we are very fortunate to have a water team like you and your colleagues here in Moorhead. We take it for granted, but after seeing what other communities have, we are golden. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Anybody else want to weigh in on this?
I asked a question.
Go ahead.
Jake, with us supplying wholesale water to Dilworth, is there any need for more public service to assist Dilworth in their lead service line inventory project, or how does that work?
That's a good question. I don't have the answer for that at this time. We can definitely look into it, and I think it'd be wise of us to inform them on it and kind of give them tips on what they
The other question I would have is, or comment to Heidi. Heidi, we are also looking at the ability to especially assess the replacement of the water line. I know that is currently available for the sewer lines with the City of Moorhead, so that's another item that we would be talking with City of Moorhead on to make that a potential option for if a customer could not afford to replace their water service line, we would have that option available as well too. So.
Questions for Jake before we let him go? Okay, thanks, Jake. Appreciate it. I entertain a motion to accept the report on the lead service line inventory project.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Paulson, seconded by Durand, to accept the report. Since we're accepting, we can just do an all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, moving on to item number 10, task order number 8.
Sure. Again, this is the task order number 8 with DGR Engineering to work on a reactor project, which sounds interesting, but it actually isn't. And I'm going to have Matt Marks come up and speak to this. Again, this is a project that actually is requested by Western Area Power and the Southwest Power Pool. It's about a $12 million project and is reimbursable over about 10 to 15 years because of our annual transmission revenue recapture that we get through SPP. So Matt, I'll let you go from there.
Matt Marks, project engineer. So last November, the Southwest Power Pool sent out a notice to construct, as Travis said, for installing reactors at the Moorhead Tap substation. And these are reactors or devices. It's similar to what a capacitor bank does, but kind of the opposite. It moves the power factor in the other direction and assists with some voltage issues that are seen on kind of the larger regional electric grid. Since that time, we've been working with Missouri River Energy Services as well as DGR Engineering to kind of address some of those initial requests for information from Southwest Power Pool. At that time, we were kind of aware that we would also, in the future, be getting a notice to construct on the circuit switchers at Moorhead Tap Substation due to the required short circuit current, fault current available based on when these circuit switchers were installed and the new standards that are out there and the new requirements of the grid, they will no longer be sufficient and so they'll need to be replaced. So we've been putting together a plan or design to update and upgrade the equipment at the Moorhead Tap substation with those circuit switchers, the entire configuration of that 230 kilovolt bus, which will then also allow us to install those reactors on that 230 bus. So we have kind of some updated information that we should be seeing this notice to construct for the circuit switchers by the end of the year, so we can start the design more in earnest. And so we have DGR Engineering, who's been helping us with kind of the initial designs and planning, put this task order together here so they can start the full design process, the equipment specifications, and start to go out for bid on some of these larger pieces of equipment that might have longer lead times. Yeah, as Travis said, the overall project's going to be around the $12 million range. Since this is part of the request from Southwest Power Pool, and it's part of equipment that serves the larger grid, we are eligible for reimbursement. That's in a 10 to 15 year time frame. The engineering portion of this, what DGR would be providing, is estimated at $819,000, and that will be over the next couple years here as they move through the various phases of the design work. Are there any questions on that?
Matt, the reactors are non-nuclear, correct?
They're not nuclear reactors, correct? Different type of reactor, different definition.
Another point to bring up on this project, we will have to go out for bond on this, so we'll be looking at doing that late 2022 or early 2023. We've actually met with with our bond agent on that as well too, so they're aware that it's coming. Again, this should be non-impactful to the rates because of the cost recovery we get, so that's a positive that we don't have to increase the rates for that.
Wonderful. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by McDougal, seconded by Daley, to approve task order number 8 with DGR Engineering. Discussion? More? Seeing none, take a vote. Paulson,
Aye.
McDougal,
Aye.
Daley,
Aye.
Durand,
Aye.
Thompson, aye. Okay, well, that task order's been approved. Item number 11, amendment to task order 1 with Apex Engineering. Schmidt.
I'll bring Marc Pritchard up for this one. Again, we discussed this previously, probably June timeframe, July timeframe, with concerns of what was going on with the Southside Water Tower. We've addressed those concerns, and I'll let Marc provide you with an update. Good outcome.
Thank you, Travis. Marc Pritchard, Water Plant Supervisor. As Travis stated just a moment ago, we did originally bring this to the Commission's attention in early July, once MPS had enough information to bring together for a report for the Commission. So the heart of this issue was really a logistical issue stemming from the timeliness of the progress of the painting and surface preparation of the paint onto the surface of the steel on the tower specifically. The original contract documentation estimated approximately 6 weeks for the surface preparation and the painting of the steel on the upper portion of the tower. Once we got about 60% through the work total, we were seeing that we were not going to have enough time with the existing contract. We ended up having about 4 additional weeks of surface preparation and application of the coating system to reach its final completion stage on July the 30th. And as Travis had mentioned, we did discuss the potential for an increase in cost to the task order with Apex for those inspection services. One thing that we also talked about at our previous commission meeting was the fact that there was contract language available to ensure that MPS did not have a net cost applied to itself if one of these situations were to arise. Basically, one of the sections allows for one contractor to be made financially whole through one of the other contractors if it was through direct consequence of their actions while on site. So after discussing this with our engineering consulting firm that the inspection services were being activated through, we received our final cost and inspection reports to basically itemize out that cost. And we did discuss that with the contractor who constructed and painted the tower, Phoenix Fabricators. And we were able to come to a reasonable solution, and this ensures that there is no net cost to MPS, while at the same time making sure that the contractors who put in extra hours to ensure that the structural viability of that tank would be maintained gets made whole. So it was a very good outcome.
Brokering that deal, huh? Questions for Marc? None? I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Paulson, seconded by Daley, to approve the amendment to task order 1 with Apex Engineering. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Paulson,
Yes.
McDougal,
Aye.
Durand,
Aye.
Daley,
Yes.
Thompson, yes. So, thank you very much. Okay, we're now moving into the item of closed meeting for executive session. This meeting will now be closed for executive session. as authorized by Minnesota statutes, section 13D.05, subdivision 3D, to discuss information technology security report at Moorhead Public Service. We expect action to be taken upon the conclusion of the executive session.
Nope, it's just an update or a
Okay.
report.
So further action is not expected in open session, therefore we will adjourn upon conclusion of executive session. I need a motion to close the meeting,
So moved.
or for close meeting for executive session, so moved. Second?
Sure.
I have a motion by McDougal, seconded by Daley to close the meeting for executive session. I don't know if it needs a roll call, but let's do it. McDougal,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Durand,
Yep.
Daley,
Yes.
Thompson? Yes. The meeting is now closed.